Entering the Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2021 March Madness Bracket Picks. If you don't know how this works, I don't know what's wrong with you, but we go through the bracket and we make the picks all the way through till we find a winner. Last time we did this in 2019, as there was no 2020 March Madness, we hit the winner. So expect very bad showing this time around, because I don't think that I've picked 2 winners in the past 20 years. So, in a decade's time, you might want to check back in with me. Hopefully my guests can figure this all out, but I do want to let everyone know to smash the like button if you're watching out there. In the comment section after the fact, if you are not watching this live, you can give me, let's say, your final. I don't need your final 4. I just need your final 2 and who you got as a winner for 2021 March Madness. Also, I got $100 to give away. If you hit the description of this video or podcast right now, you will find a link to fantasy baseball, picks or bets. If you leave a 5-star review on the Apple Podcast version of that show, you don't even need to fucking watch it. You just need to leave the review. 5-star review. Something you enjoy about the show, you can fake that part, then your Twitter handle or email address, so I can contact you if you are a winner to that. Super easy. It takes like 30 seconds. You get in a draw for $100. So please go do that. And subscribe to Mayo Media Network right now. You're watching this on Mayo Media Network. You might as well subscribe so you can get all of the updates. We should have some awesome March Madness betting stuff coming for you throughout the week. Not from me, from actual college basketball people who know about this stuff, unlike me, because we'll get to it in a second how much college basketball I've seen so far this season. None is the spoiler alert to that answer. But the Brad Evans and FTNBets.com package is available right now. If you hit the description, you can find the link to that. You can buy the March Madness package or the overall betting package. Use code MAYO at checkout. I think it's like $8 or something like that. It's pretty good. It's going to have stuff up there every single day, including bracket pits from people who have a bit more in-depth knowledge than myself. That's why this one is free. Joining me on the line from awesemo.com, our regular college basketball quote-unquote expert, Ben Rasa. What's up?
What's going on, man? Yeah, 2-year hiatus for the show, but we're back in business. Excited. The golf is over, so my attention is now on college basketball.
All right, and then the third member of the team to help us make some of these picks. He'll pretend like he knows a lot about college basketball, but really, we're just here to fade his picks. It is Tim Andercust.
That's not my name. I don't know much. This is sort of like that scene from Inglourious Bastards where Ben speaks the most Italian, and I speak the second most because I speak like 5 words, and you speak no Italian, so you speak third most.
So
that's basically where we are.
So usually my college basketball knowledge comes from me tuning in to watch golf at 2 p.m. Eastern time or 3 p.m. Eastern time. And then whatever like Big Ten game that is like 35 minutes over, I end up having to watch that before they actually get to the golf. This year, however, I found an alternate feed for golf where I can just switch over to that right away. So I don't have to see any college basketball. Ben, I've seen 0 seconds of college basketball. Can you help us through this?
Yeah, well, that's good. You're fresh. You don't have any biases, because I'm on the other side. Like, people looking at these random teams, I've seen a lot of them. I watch probably too much college basketball. So you know what? We're going to meet in the middle and we're going to be just fine.
All right. I did have my secret expert, he who shall not be named, send me his power rankings, which he runs like this 5-year back-tested thingamajigger with strength of schedule, free throw percentage. So I actually have rankings of the teams in front of me. So I'm just going to kind of go off what he says. He's usually pretty good at that. We'll mix it with Ben. We'll try to fade Tim. And the way that we do this is Ben makes a pick, Tim makes a pick, and then I decide who is moving on in the official Pat Mayo Experience March Madness bracket. Once the show is concluded, I will put up the link to said bracket, which you can find down in the description after the fact, just like the time codes for everything as well. All right, you guys ready to do this?
Let's roll.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's start in the West with the 1 seed, Gonzaga, 26-0 against the winner of the play-in game against Norfolk State and Appalachian State. Do we have Ben, do you have a lean on the play-in winner here?
I would assume it would be Appalachian State, but not too concerned about either of them. It's a pretty bad game.
Okay. Tim, are you going to tail Ben on that one?
Sure. I don't know anything about those 2 teams. All I know about Appalachian State is football. So
That time that they beat Michigan in the first game of the year?
Yes.
That's as a D2 team. That's basically the only thing that I can. That's all I know.
They have.
Yeah, that's all I know.
That's all they have. You're not missing anything. That's literally their claim to fame.
So, Tim, are you taking Appalachian State to beat Gonzaga in round one?
I have been on Gonzaga since the start of the season. I love this team. I laid down a New Year's Day marker that they would go undefeated and win the championship. I'm staying with it. I'm sort of at sea here because I like to pick Duke and Gonzaga every year, and I don't have Duke to lean on this year. So I'm all in on Gonzaga. I mean, this team is legitimately great. I bet you your statistics you have there have them as the top team, the number one in RPI. I love this team. Absolutely love Gonzaga. I think they're going to crush.
Well, that is not
and
the
case. They
case.
got a great draw. A great draw.
Well, that is not the case, but the two teams that are vying for this play-in spot are the two lowest ranked teams in the rankings coming in. Gonzaga is actually 5th in these rankings, Ben. Does that jibe with you?
I don't know. It's a really interesting situation. We always talk about when they come into this tournament, they've been beating up on lesser competition for a long time now. It does kind of feel that this team is a little unique, though, when they are that good. We're going to find out. I do tend to think that they're better than the 5th team, though. I would say that for sure.
And they beat the 2, 3, and 4 seed in this bracket already this season, which is weird.
Yeah, I mean, early in the year, they ran through I wish we got to see them in Baylor. They were supposed to play, and it got canceled several times, and that would have given us even more insight. But you know what? Maybe that gives us more value on a team because we didn't get to see that game.
All right, well, let's find out who they're going to be playing in the second round. We have the 8-9 matchup of Oklahoma and Missouri. Missouri comes in number 58 in these power rankings. This was done before the bracket was released of all of the eligible teams that could come in. And that leaves Oklahoma at, where are you at, Oklahoma? I just had a note about you. There's Oklahoma State. It's probably not what I want to be looking at. Oklahoma. There we are, 41st. 3 straight January wins over top 10 teams is nice, but losing 5 of 6 to the end of the season is not. There are defensive metrics to buy into, but the lack of offensive consistency is going to be a problem over 40 minutes. And the mustache of Brady Manick will have to produce in a major way to make this run possible. Who do you have here, Ben? Do you have Oklahoma or Missouri?
I'm going to go with Oklahoma. Maybe I'll start leaning on the Big 12 right off the bat. You mentioned Brady Manick. They've got experience, just a pretty solid team. They had some losses down the stretch, but they were to predominantly good teams. Missouri is interesting. They're a solid team. I don't really like the SEC in general, though. So tough game. Don't think it's ultimately going to matter as we go out. I'll lean to Oklahoma.
And Tim, I assume you're going to tail that as well?
No, I like Missouri.
Oh.
Missouri is the strongest 8-9 pick I have. I think they're 25 in RPI. They beat Florida, who's higher seeded than them by 2 seeds. I don't know a whole lot about them, but I actually think the Tigers are half decent, so I'm going to play them here.
All right, so let's go with the first fade cust here and have Oklahoma moving on in the 8-9 pick of the Pat Mayo Experience West Region bracket, going on to Creighton as a 5 seed against UCSB as a 12 seed. Creighton actually ranks out 7th in these rankings, Ben. Do they still have Dougie McBuckets?
They've got his father, but barely at this point, but that's neither here nor there. Creighton is whoever's doing these secret rankings for you. They jive with me. Creighton is a team that they're incredibly frustrating, but I really think they're dangerous. They're a terrible free throw shooting team, and that scares me. 329th in the country in free throws. That's dangerous, but all the talent in the world. Great shooting team. I like Creighton in this game.
Tim, is UCSB UC Santa Barbara?
It is. And my bias against them comes from I watched the Big East Championship game last night and Georgetown blew them out. Now that's one game and whatever. But I'm going to take UC Santa Barbara. I like 5-12 upsets anyway, so I'm going to take UC Santa Barbara.
Well, Ben, how do you rate this one out then? UCSB 22-4 coming in as a 12 seed.
Gauchos, it's in the Big West. I'll be honest, I've seen only a couple games of this team. I'm sure they're solid enough, but Creighton is a serious team. I will say, when you're talking about erratic and range of outcomes, Creighton's that type of team, but they're just so explosive offensively. They've got good guards. They do stupid things, no doubt. Georgetown mopped the floor with them. They've lost games they shouldn't, but I don't think this will be one of them.
Yeah, this is one of the bigger discrepancies in these rankings that I got produced for me. That's usually what I lean on here, so I'm going to go with Creighton to be moving on. Taking all chalk so far, the higher end seeds. Do you? Tim just said he has the 12-5 upset preference. Do you read into this stuff at all, Ben?
No, I mean, I do think that in general, of course, those teams are live to get it done. But no, I don't take a 12 just to take a 12. Absolutely not.
All right, next game, Virginia coming through for us the last time we did this against Ohio. The 4-13 matchup. Tim, have you seen either of these teams?
I saw some of Virginia because I watched Virginia play Gonzaga earlier this year. It was during one of the golf tournaments. I got upset or something was going on. I got annoyed and I flipped over to CBS to watch that game. So I saw some Virginia this year. I like the ACC in general, even though they're having a really down year. And in a spot like this, in a weird tournament where everything's going to be played in weird spots, and I lean on coaches that I know and I trust, and that's what UVA has. So I'm going to take the Cavaliers here.
And I mean, that seems like a pretty sensible way to go about things. So I'm looking at the rankings right now. Virginia is 4th overall. So I was like, yeah, might as well just write in Virginia. They're a 4 seed, but I had them at 4th overall. But Ohio in these rankings actually comes in at 16th, Ben.
So certainly, listen, the prudent play is to just take Virginia to survive in advance. I like Ohio in this game, though. This is a team that people probably haven't seen out of the MAC. They won the MAC. That's how they got there. They've won 9 of 10. Super offense. They want to play. It's going to be really interesting. They want to play fast. They want this game to be in the 70s or the 80s. Virginia probably wants it to be in the 50s. They play so methodical. They've got also, we'll see what's up with Virginia. They had to pull out of the ACC tournament because of COVID issues. Tim's right. I mean, Tony Bennett, great coach, great team. I think Ohio's pretty dangerous, though. If you want to get a little frisky, they're not the worst pick in the world.
I say we get frisky. Let's go with a 13 over a 4 in the first round. Tim, what was the year you picked Virginia to win?
The year that they lost to UMBC.
And what was the year you didn't pick them to win?
Last year, when they won 2 years ago, sorry, when they lost the national championship. But I'll say that I did like Texas Tech that year, and they got all the way to the championship game too. So
hey, we had them in the final. We had Virginia against someone, and we had Texas Tech in the Final Four. That's how we ended up winning. Well, I'm going to go Ohio here. They're plus, according to DK Sportsbook right now, at the opening odds, they're plus 10 in this matchup, Ben, and they're plus 425 on the money line.
Yeah, I'm certainly going to bet this game. Got to dig into it a little more, but I like the spot for them. They can play, they can shoot. This is the type of team that could make some noise.
All right, well, let's just hope extreme offense can overcome here. And maybe there is COVID problems for Virginia that they just can't overcome. Next game, on the back end of the bracket, USC is a 6 seed, and they are taking on the winners of Wichita State and Drake. Ben, you got to lean on the play-in game?
Not really. I mean, Drake is a solid enough team. They just ran into Loyola a couple times, and that was their problem. Good record, had some health issues. Seemed to be, I didn't think they were going to get in, so they should just be happy they're here. I think they beat Wichita if I had to pick.
You love the Drake, in other words.
Yeah, love the Drake. Everyone loves the Drake.
The Drake is a 2-point dog to Wichita State in this game, by the way.
That seems about right.
Okay.
Fair.
So we're
Either
going.
way you cut it, I really like the Trojans.
Oh, God. Why?
That's a team that has been performing lately. I don't have a ton of expertise, but I think that USC is a quality team. And so the Pac-12 is up this year from previous years where they got like 1 or 2 teams in. They sort of had a bit of a renaissance, and I think USC is part of that reason. So I think the Trojans could be dangerous.
So, Ben, the note that I have on the Trojans is that Mobley can take over a game at any point, good defense, but they're horrendous from the stripe.
Yeah, that's true. They got 2 Mobleys, too. One is really, really good, though. So no doubt about that. I'm probably a sucker for this, but I do think that the Pac-12 is much better than years past. I like USC in this game, too, no matter who they get.
All right, so we're going with USC over Drake is how we're taking this game? All right.
Sure.
Next one up is, what do we got here? Oh, Kansas against Eastern Washington. Any chance for Eastern Washington, Ben?
Probably not. I've only seen them play once. I saw them beat Montana State yesterday to win the Big Sky. Don't know much about them. I don't think Kansas is that good either. They had another team that had to cancel with COVID, but I'm sure they're good enough to get through here. So
just looking at it right on the sheet, Tim, Eastern Washington ranks 39th. They're 13-1 after a 3-6 start, but apparently can't play defense or can't rebound. That seems problematic.
Does in an NCAA tournament game against a team like Kansas, which is so well coached and so experienced. Hard to pass up the Jayhawks.
So here's the interesting part. So I might go upset here, just looking at these rankings. So Eastern Washington ranks 39th, and this is all just done, like I said, just based on a series of 7 or 8 stats that have normalized over the past 5 years and back tested that way, but all containing this season. Eastern Washington, number 39 in the rankings. Ben, Kansas, number 40 in the rankings.
Good. I don't like Kansas in general. Again, I think they're probably better than this team, but Kansas getting bounced would be probably a net positive for me, regardless of who I take in this game.
Just the notes are they defend at a high level, but struggle to get easy buckets, and they have a lack of star power that they usually have in years past. Plus, they were 8-1 before COVID ended that run. You want to take an upset? You feeling an upset?
I mean, this year's going to be, it's always out of control, but this year, even more dangerous. So if you're feeling it, you're feeling frisky, like I said, go for it.
Tim, can I talk you into Eastern Washington?
No, I like Kansas, but there are plus 550 on DK Sportsbook, and they're pretty sizable dog.
Eastern Washington, yeah, an 11.5 point favorite right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. Plus 550. I'm going with it. Let's go. Eastern Washington moving on in the bracket, bringing us to Oregon and VCU. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but Shaka Smart hasn't been with VCU in like 10 years, right?
He's with Texas now, yes.
Okay, so that's not going to work out for me. So they don't play like high-end, high-energy press defense the entire time anymore?
No, they still do that. It's not exactly the same. They're a good team. Just watch them play before the show. They played today, lost to St. Bonaventure.
Oh, God.
St. Bonaventure's really good.
They really are. I'm with you there. I think Oregon's pretty good too. So this is a tough game for them. Really shoot the 3. Again, Pac-12.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Ducks.
Quack, quack. Me too.
So Oregon in the rankings is number 22nd. VCU is number 67. So that's a huge discrepancy, one of the biggest so far. The notes on Oregon are they lay an egg once a month, but 3 win streaks of 5+ games. If that's kind of the case, where they're a team that just like completely shits the bed every now and then, but reel off these long winning streaks, is there a chance that they can go deep into this tournament?
Until they meet Gonzaga, yeah.
Yeah, that's how I kind of view Creighton too. Like Creighton does that, and then they lose games where you're just like, how is this team even in the tournament? So Oregon's got an element of that, no doubt about it.
Okay. Iowa versus Grand Canyon, which is apparently a school that I have never heard of. Where do you suppose Grand Canyon is? Do you think it's one of these things like Oakland College, which is like outside of Detroit?
Or Northwestern State, which is in Louisiana?
Is that true?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
We'll look it up one day.
Iowa, I guess we're going with.
They have the best player in the country, right?
Yeah, they do have the best player in the country. Grand Canyon, yeah, this is a terrible spot, and I wish they weren't a 15. They're a good team. The Antelopes, don't hate on Grand Canyon. They're not. I don't think they can hang with Iowa by any stretch. I was really hoping they would be a 14 and get a little easier matchup because I've seen them play quite a bit. They're a pretty talented team.
Iowa in the rankings is number 3. They're an elite passing team built around the player of the year, but the injury to Nunge hurts. Apparently that's a person, Ben.
It is. They're a little thin. They got Wieskamp back, though, with the ankle. They're going to be fine in this game, as much as it pains me to say that because I do like Grand Canyon in life, but we'll see how good Iowa is when they get, into tougher games.
Tim, did you research where Grand Canyon College is?
My God, if it isn't in Arizona, I'm going to blow a gasket.
It is. So
okay.
You're safe. Yeah, their coach is the brother of the Baylor coach.
Really?
Bryce Drew. Yeah, Bryce Drew is their coach.
Well, Drew is a terrible head coach.
Yes, he's better than his brother, so don't worry.
Well, I mean, that's why Baylor is a 1 seed. I can't, in good conscience, counsel us taking Baylor to the Final Four when we get there because I don't trust him.
So that we'll just work our way back up. So that leaves Oregon and Iowa. Do we want to keep rolling the dice on Oregon in this spot as the 7 seed over the 2, or is Iowa just too good, Ben?
I mean, I do think that you could roll the dice. That's going to be a pretty crazy game. Iowa's just so dangerous because they have so many 3-point shooters outside of Garza, and when you play that type of style, you can beat anyone. But if you're cold, you can lose to anyone. And certainly Oregon's top 20 in the country in 3-point percentage as well. I think that'll be a very competitive game. So if you're feeling the Ducks, you want to go little Gordon Bombay, I'm down for it.
What do you think, Tim? Quack, quack, quack.
No, I like the Hawkeyes. I think I was like got the best player in the country from the best conference, which is the Big Ten. Even though I think I said I love the Pac-12 too, but I'm going to lean with Iowa here. I think Iowa's the only team that has a chance at knocking out Gonzaga, and I don't want them out here yet.
I mean, you don't think
I'd be happy if they were. I'd be delighted if they were, because it would mean a free pass for the Bulldogs, but I don't see it happening.
Free pass for the Bulldogs. You're really all in on this, huh?
Yes, they gave Gonzaga the Duke region. They gave them the easiest possible path to the Final Four. They want them in there. It's nothing but eyeballs for an undefeated team to get to the Final Four.
Okay, so USC gets to take on 14 seed Eastern Washington in the, are they still calling this the third round, or are they just back to calling it the second round?
No, that nonsense is over.
Good.
That's such garbage. No, it's over now.
Do we want to continue the upset for Eastern Washington?
No. Love USC.
Ben?
Yeah, no, I'll go with the Trojans.
All right, so Trojans on. So that leaves USC versus Iowa. Does USC have a chance to knock these guys off?
Oh, they definitely have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, Mobley can certainly cause problems, but I'll say this. If that's the actual game that happens, I think I would be pretty happy. I think they match up pretty well, and they would end up beating them.
Iowa
Agreed.
would? Okay, so
Iowa would, yeah.
all right, so Iowa goes to the Elite Eight. That leaves Gonzaga and Oklahoma. It sounds like we're sticking with Gonzaga in this spot.
My vote
Yeah,
is yes.
it's not close for me. Yes, they kill all these teams.
All right, Zags. That leaves Creighton versus Ohio. Is this one where Creighton shits the bed and Ohio can be the sneaky 13 seed that we see every year in the Elite Eight? Or the round of 16, sorry? I say we do it because we're gonna have them losing to Gonzaga anyway.
Yeah, listen. That game would be, if Creighton and Ohio match up, that over under will be in the 160s. Like they'll be way up and down. That's a good style for them. And then if they get Gonzaga, oh my God, it'll be in the 180s. But yeah, let's do it. Let's roll the dice. Why not?
Yeah, I guess, Tim, if we have the one seed moving on, it's really kind of irrelevant if we think that they're going to go at least to the Elite Eight.
Correct.
Who else we put in that spot? We might try to pick up some points on the bracket field here by having a sleeper advance through.
I agree. I'm more chalk heavy than you guys are sometimes, but yes, I agree with that general theory.
Okay.
As long as in the end you get to a 1 and a 2 for the most part in the Final Four, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, we're not going to be doing that. Come on now. Zags and Ohio. So we know that Tim is taking Gonzaga. Is there any, you just said that the over-under is going to be like 180 for this game, Ben. Is there a chance that Ohio can just come out and just start training threes and that's the end of the Zags?
No.
Is like
Simple
Ali,
as that. Oh.
is like Ali Farouk Manesh's cousin? Is he on Ohio? Because all of a sudden, like, oh, this guy can't miss.
Yeah, even though he probably should have dribbled and took time off the clock that year. If you can shoot it and make it, go ahead. But Gonzaga is just really, even when they get remotely tested, they respond pretty quickly. And I have a feeling they won't be tested for quite a while.
All right, then that leaves us with the biggest decision we have in the West because we're chalk donkeys going with the Zags against Iowa. Tim, we know your pick. Ben, what's your pick?
I'm going to go with Gonzaga. Like I said, Iowa's dealt with some injuries. There's nothing that you can say about what the Zags have done except that their conference schedule is weak, and that's not their fault. They've answered every call, and they've got everything that you want as a team. So I'll go with them.
And beat Iowa this year, 99-88.
That feels like 3 years ago, that game.
I know, but they did beat them this season.
Well, Ben, what do you put on something like that? If that happened like at the very beginning of the season when these teams are coming out, do you put any sort of weight into that?
No, I don't personally. I just, especially in a year like this with the stoppages and, Suggs, guys were like true freshmen now who have some experience. It can't hurt, but I don't really care about that.
Well, I want to fade Cuss, so I'm taking Iowa to go to the Final Four on this
right.
one. That's how we're doing it on the PME bracket. Zags, your launch.
I think, isn't it more tragic for them to lose in the national championship game as the undefeated team?
No.
Fade me, but okay.
I mean, it's more tragic if they lose to Appalachian State in the first round.
Well, yes, that's right.
It's confirmed, yes.
Yeah, that's fair. Whatever, that's fine. You're not bothering me.
Kind of want to take Ohio over them too. We should have done that, but now I feel like an idiot for not doing a 1 versus a 2. What kind of show is that, Tim?
I like it. Ones and
just
twos
warming
wins
up.
national championships. In the end, that's who wins it. Every year.
Tell that to UConn.
The 1 year that was a 7-8. And UConn was a 3 seed too. They're the only team that isn't a 1 or 2 that wins a championship. So
Syracuse with Mello, my boy.
that was a great year.
Well, Ben, what college did you go to?
I went to UMass. They are not in the tournament for obvious reasons.
Did they ever make the
Because
tournament?
Yeah, when they had
Calipari
Marcus
took him-
Camby.
Calipari took them to the Final Four.
Yeah, that banner has been removed for
It has been.
violations, but they're all right. But no, they couldn't get VCU as the team, and St. Bonaventure are the best teams in the A10.
Is St. Bonaventure, because they're in this upcoming region right now, so they're in the East region, so let's get to that. They're a 9 seed here at 16-4, and they're taking on they're taking on LSU, sorry, at 18-6, so an SEC team against St. Bonaventure. Are they going to be like the hot team to pick here in the first round, do you think?
I could see that. I mean, they're a team. They looked really good today. Lofton's unbelievable. They have everything you want. LSU's also very talented. I do like St. Bonaventure. I got to give some love to the A10, so I'll go with the Bonnies.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, this feels like one that everyone's going to glom onto. That's never a good spot in one of these things where you're on like the popular, like especially in an 8-9 matchup. Like, what is the LSU? I guess I would be under Louisiana State. Do they not even have this game on the board yet? That would be weird, wouldn't it?
Nope, they don't.
Huh. And they don't want to take that Bonnie action coming on in. So we'll have the Bonnies moving on. They will face the winner of Michigan and the play-in game of Mount St. Mary's and Texas Southern. So we'll just write in Michigan for that one. That sounds like a fun. Is that a fun second round matchup? Like, could that be competitive, Ben?
Oh, absolutely. This is where I know you were disappointed we didn't get outrageous at the beginning of the show. This is the region for me, the East, where all hell is going to break loose because I don't think Michigan is nearly as good as everybody else does.
I agree. I have Michigan going out in round 2.
Well, Michigan, by these power rankings, the number 1 team in the field.
No. And Livers, I want to see what's up with him because he's got a foot issue. If they lose him, forget it. Listen, Juwan Howard, they look good. Very impressed with their year. I don't think they're that good. To me, they're by far, well, Baylor's an anomaly, but they're one of the weaker 1 seeds out there, and I don't think that they're getting through here.
I agree.
Okay. 5 seed, Colorado taking on 12 seed Georgetown. Did Georgetown only get in because they won their conference tournament?
Yep, they went on a run.
Yeah. 4 straight. They only had 8 or 9 wins during the year, and then they won 4 days in a row.
Yeah, they're 13-12 this season. It's good.
And I watched that whole second half against Creighton, and they looked, you wouldn't believe that they were like the 8th seed in the Big East to go into that tournament. They looked great. And then I saw some Colorado when they played in the Pac-12 championships. I was like, oh, I saw both these teams last night. I have an opinion. I like Georgetown.
Colorado, season long, an elite free throw shooting team, with the exception of the conference tournament. Apparently, that was like the first time they flamed out all year long, and they do have a pretty good defense. They appear to be one of those teams where if the game is close late, that they're probably going to end up winning. Is that accurate, Ben?
Not even elite free throw shooting team is an understatement. 82% from the line. That would be basically the best ever. McKinley Wright, who is their point guard, isn't fantastic. They've got some size, but as you just mentioned, if they get up in these games, it's virtually impossible to come back because they just don't miss from the line. I absolutely love Colorado. Sticking with my Pac-12 teams.
All right, yeah, let's go with Colorado. They're only 5-point favorites against Georgetown as well, minus 220 on the betting line. They will take on the winner, at least in our bracket, of Florida State and UNC Greensboro. Oh, boy. Florida State, they're good. Do they play like elite defense and have super athletic guys like usual, Ben?
They got about 30 guys. They run too many guys, in my opinion, at some point. I don't know what to make of them. I was really disappointed with how they played against Georgia Tech. Don't want to base it all on one game, but they're a fine team. I'm not overly impressed, to be honest. UNCG, solid team. I don't think they can deal with the length, though, so I'll go with the Noles.
Yeah, Florida State, at least in these power rankings, are at number 15, where UNC Greensboro, number 78, Tim.
Yeah, I like the Seminoles quite a bit here.
All right, let's go down to BYU versus the play-in winner of Michigan State and UCLA. Is that just that they were just like, hey, we have two big teams in here. Let's throw them together, and at least we'll get one of them into the tournament?
Yeah, I do think there's an element like they wanted to spice up the play-in game, and they got like massive blue bloods because Kentucky and Duke aren't here, so that's the result of that.
Are any of these teams any good?
I think UCLA is. I mean, it has stumbled down the stretch, but at one point I thought UCLA was quite good, but now I don't think so.
Yeah, they were really good to begin the year, and then they were exposed by Colorado and co. But Michigan State is typical Michigan State in some regards. They battle. They've got Izzo. They show flashes. Ultimately, I don't think either of these teams are that good, and that's why they're in the playing game.
Oh yeah, I like the Bruins in this game, but not in the next game.
Well, UCLA has lost 4 straight to end the season. Chris Smith getting hurt earlier in the season, proven too much for them to overcome to be considered a threat at this point. BYU actually ranked 12 in this, so we'll take UCLA. Do you want to take Michigan State or UCLA?
I don't really care. I don't think it matters. I would lean to Michigan State, but I don't have a strong take.
All right, we'll take UCLA or UCLA, as someone once said, and we'll take BYU to advance. I put down BYU. Texas at Abilene Christian. We just rolling with Texas here. Is there a case for Abilene Christian?
Oh, there's a case.
Here we go.
Don't hate on Abilene Christian. They only got 4 losses this year. They played Texas Tech close, aggressive team. They absolutely rolled through the Southland. Now you can say who the hell is Nicholls State and Sam Houston State. This team can play. I know Texas is very good and they just beat Oklahoma State. What's the prudent play? It's writing in Texas. What's the dangerously insane play? It's Abilene Christian. I am going to put my whatever's left of my dwindling reputation here. I think Abilene Christian wins this game.
I think how much the importance of the game to Abilene Christian in the state of Texas is to these guys against Texas. They probably weren't recruited by the University of Texas. They get to play them in the tournament to knock them out. Like there's a ton of motivation, I think, on Abilene Christian side. I think Texas is the better team, but I'm with you. I don't mind taking Abilene Christian here at all.
Abilene Christian forces 19 turnovers a game. That is number 1 in the country. They cause massive problems for teams. Texas has a good backcourt, no doubt, but this is a team defensively that causes a lot of problems.
One thing to look at in these power rankings as well, Texas comes in at number 49. So they're in the bottom. They're in the bottom half.
Where's Abilene Christian? They even on the page?
They were not on the page, no.
That's unfortunate, but
once I just look here closer, no, it doesn't seem like they've actually made it.
I'm following Ben's confidence. I'm sold.
I like it. Well, it's funny. We've talked about some of these underdog teams, like plus 12, plus 10. Texas is only a 9-point favorite in this game, so the books are thinking they're up to something here. I listen. You know that all I want to do is pick upsets, so this works out for me. And then we have a battle of the potential religions with BYU and Abilene Christian coming up in the next round, so that's going to be a fun one too. UConn and Maryland. 7 versus a 10. I mean, these are name brand teams, but are they actually any good?
Yeah, they're pretty good. I mean, UConn had to get healthy and Book Night is back. That really has helped them. The Big East is an anomaly. We've talked about Georgetown, Creighton. I don't know how good any of these teams are, to be honest. So I think UConn's probably where I would go, but again, not strong conviction on how good they are.
I lean to the Terps because the Big Ten is the stronger of the conferences. They've been a little more battle tested. So I think pretty much a coin flip game, I would take the Terps.
All right, let's go with Maryland moving on as the 10 seed. Alabama and Iona. Isn't that like your neck of the woods, Ben? Iona?
Oh yeah, right by me.
Rick Pitino.
Rick Pitino is there. So there's schools right. There's a good Wendy's right there. But
nice.
Alabama, really, really good. That's going to be a tough spot.
Alabama's awesome.
Like they're an elite team.
They're the cut of the SEC for sure. They're an incredibly good team. I like them a lot.
Yeah. This region is a dumpster fire. This is one I truly think something insane could happen down here.
All right, so Iona.
I agree.
Iona is 74th in the rankings, but Alabama doesn't rate out all that well. Surprisingly enough, for being a 2 seed in this spot. Let's see the notes on them. Top defense in the country, has 3 high-scoring guards, so they have potential to go deep, but 2 of those guards are young, and their shot quality is, quote, inconsistent. Sound about right?
Yeah, that's fair. They are tough, though. Like
Number 2 in the RPI.
Battle-tested.
They need John Petty to be huge like he was earlier in the season. That is the second note that I have here. So we're good.
Okay.
All right, we'll go with Alabama. Moving on. Do we want to continue Alabama rolling through against Maryland?
Yes.
Yeah, they'll
Roll
smother.
Tide.
Defensively, they're just too strong.
What does Maryland do well? Like they have guard play?
Crab cakes. I don't know. Like they're not a great team this year. They got a lot of guys that take threes. But this is not a vintage, Juan Dixon ain't walking through that door, that's for sure.
No, he's too busy splitting up with his wife on the Real Housewives of Potomac.
I didn't know that, but that makes sense. Is why he's not walking through that door.
Yeah. So in terms of these rankings, Maryland is ranked substantially higher than Alabama is. And just the notes on Maryland being a capable defensive team, 2 guards capable of scoring 20 points apiece. So what's Alabama's offense like? Because we just talked about them being a very good defensive team. Like, do they have the goods to put up points?
Not relative to the other 2 seeds, I would say no. But when you play that kind of defense, you don't have Alabama. They've got 4 guys averaging in double figures, but their leading scorer only 14 a game. They're just not that type of team, though. They're guard heavy. I don't have a strong take on can they manufacture enough points, but against Maryland, I think they just absolutely crush them defensively.
Yeah, they just squeeze teams to death.
Yeah.
All right. I really want to go with Alabama there, or with Maryland there, but I'll go with Alabama. It sounds like you're right. Can Abilene Christian beat BYU?
I mean,
You want to say
I
yes,
like
don't you?
no. I like the Cougars here. Give me BYU.
Yeah, that's a weird game. BYU is super up paced. They like to shoot threes. Abilene Christian is not like that. The Mormons, I'd probably go with BYU.
Well, with the way that you've kind of described Alabama and BYU, that sounds like a weird clash game in what they want to do. I think I like the team that are just going to just chuck threes against a good defensive team. Get hot and
That's
win.
the way to do it. High variance. It's not a series. People forget that. It's not like the NBA. You only got to win once. So high variance, if you take 35 threes in a game, sometimes you hit 20 of them and the game is basically over.
All right. So BYU over Alabama to go to the Elite Eight? Huh?
Styles make fights, but I like the Tide here.
I'll go with the Cougars. I think this is a truly a bracket where 4 or 5 teams could come out and be in the Final Four in this East side. I think this is wide open, so I have no problem with that.
All right. So we got BYU going to the Elite Eight from the bottom. That leaves Michigan against the Bonnies. Tim, this is where you say Michigan loses?
Yeah, I like the Bonnies here. Just because I really believe in this team.
Have you seen them play more than one game?
I saw them in the A10 tournament twice, parts of it. But I look at the numbers and people who I respect talking about basketball teams, and they all sing the praises of the Bonnies too. So I'm like, okay, I'm sold.
I think I want to go with Michigan here and just take the number 1 seed. What do you think, Ben?
I mean, I don't like Michigan in life. This is a tough spot, though. St. Bonaventure is very good, but Michigan, even though I don't like them, they're really good as well. That's why they're a 1 seed. I think it'll be a very competitive game. If I had to roll with someone, it would be Michigan.
All right, so we'll have Michigan moving on, leaving us to Florida State and Colorado. It seems like we all kind of like Colorado, except for Cust, which is a good thing.
No, but in this instance, I'll take the Pac-12 team.
I love Colorado. I think they keep rolling on.
All right, so do we want to go Colorado over Michigan? I guess that's the big choice here.
No. I'll take, in that case, I'll take the Wolverines.
Ben?
Buffaloes. I'm riding until the wheels come off with Colorado.
Oh, let's do it.
That
So that leaves us
could be
with
the first round.
Colorado versus BYU with a chance to go to the Final Four.
This is what I'm talking about.
Who are we taking?
5-6 is not the craziest thing.
Who are we
I've
taking?
seen that.
I'm taking Colorado. Colorado coming out as a 5 seed. Very interesting bet if you want to bet them to win the region. That's the type of stuff that gets that could be outrageous, and I think it's worth a shot.
Tim, are you down for this,
yeah,
or do you want to take BYU?
I'm going to take the Pac-12 team in Colorado in this instance.
Aren't they both
What a
Pac-12
bracket.
teams?
No, BYU is
They're with Gonzaga.
in basketball. Yeah, they're independent in football and WCC in basketball.
Yeah. It's all very confusing. Why can't you just stick to one conference for all the sports? Why can't that be allowed?
Because most of these teams don't play football.
I mean, Colorado plays football. These
Well, yeah,
teams
but they're
play
in the
football.
Pac-12.
Yeah.
Everyone in the Pac-12 plays all the sports.
All right, let's go Colorado. So Colorado against Iowa. Actually, you know what? We'll save that. We'll save that for the Final Four discussion. And before we move on to the other side of the bracket, we got to feed the sponsors here on the Pat Mayo Experience. That would be very nice to do. So before we get to the final side of the bracket to fill it out, a word from our sponsor. This tournament season, take care of your hair and your holes with the best tools for the job. We're talking about our sponsors, Manscaped, the global leaders in male grooming from head to toe. And when the clock winds down in March, be clutch and avoid the upset with the Manscaped Performance Package to keep all your hair and holes trimmed. Manscaped is trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. Join the Manscaped movement. Start taking care of your balls today with 20% off plus free shipping by going to manscaped.com and using code MAYO for exclusive offer. Your bracket isn't supposed to be perfect, but with the Manscaped Performance Package, you can be confident that your nose, ear, and ball pubes are. You ever try to pluck disgusting nose hair? Yeah, it's the worst. That makes the Manscaped Performance Package the ultimate men's hygiene bundle and the #1 seed overall this March. Included in the package is the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. It provides proprietary, skin-safe technology which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs, even those delicate holes. And 79% of partners polled admitted that long nose hair, major turnoff. And if you're not a catch to begin with, you're in an even bigger hole. Plus, your purchase goes towards a great cause because they've partnered with the GOAT, Alex Caruso, and the Testicular Cancer Society to bring awareness to testicular cancer, men's health, and early cancer detection. Manscaped is committed to raising awareness for the most common form of cancer in men ages 15 to 35 and giving support for fighters, survivors, and families impacted by testicular cancer as a part of the We Save Balls initiative. Get 20% off and free shipping with code MAYO at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use code MAYO. When things get hairy, make sure to call on Manscaped in a clutch time. Thank you, Manscaped, for making our holes look sexy during the dance. Back to the show. Welcome back to the Pat Mayo Experience with Ben Rasa and Tim Andercust. We're jumping
Not my
into,
name.
shut up. We're going into the South region trying to make these picks to see who can go along with Iowa and Colorado in the Final Four. Baylor hardly knew her. They going to beat your boys, Hartford, Tim?
Yes, as much as I'm down on the Bears and don't think they're one of the most poorly coached teams in the draw, I will be taking them one round, and that at least we'll see who you guys like in the next round. But yeah, I'll take them this round for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen her. I'll say this: UMass didn't make the tournament, but UMass Lowell, which is a borderline creative school, they played Hartford. They played Hartford for the right to get crushed by Baylor, and they lost. But Hartford is going to be dismantled in many, many ways.
Okay, so we're going to go with Baylor, and they'll be facing the winner of North Carolina as an 8 seed and Wisconsin as a 9 seed. Is there anything I can do to just be like, I don't want to take North Carolina because everyone's going to take North Carolina? And
Wisconsin.
What's that? Yeah,
is in the better conference. UNC is not that good. I don't like UNC to begin with. I really hope they get crushed. And yeah, I like the Badgers here.
Well, like I've said before, Ben, that I haven't seen a second of college basketball, but I bet you I know how Wisconsin plays. Is it the same as every year? They have like 2 big white guys at like center and power forward. They run out the clock on every possession and rebound really well.
Yeah, that sums it up. A couple things. Their starting lineup is older than the Bulls' starting lineup. They've got guys that are like 28. I don't know how. And they get the thing that's weird. They just get absolutely mauled inside. And that's why I'm a little worried. North Carolina is a really good rebounding team, and I think their bigs are going to really push Wisco's bigs around. And for that reason, I probably lean to North Carolina. I don't think either of these teams are that good, though.
The betting line right now from DraftKings Sportsbook, North Carolina's favored by 2.5 points as the 8 seed. But I don't like North Carolina, so I'm going to take Wisconsin. Villanova and Winthrop.
This is the one everybody has as a 12-5 upset, I bet.
Now, I've asked
Like,
you
I
this,
wouldn't be-
I've asked you this question for the past 10 years in a row, Tim. So you have to answer it for me. Is Scotty Reynolds still on Villanova?
I believe so as a junior assistant. I mean, people can tell from our conversation that we stopped super following college basketball closely in like 2010. So all of our references are now at least 10 years old.
6.5 point favorites over Winthrop in this game. One thing that I do know about the bracket every year, Ben, though, is fade the popular upset pick.
Yeah, everybody, listen, Winthrop, cool team. They only have one loss, but I don't know about this. And the other side, Villanova lost Connor Gillespie. He's their everything point guard, and that's very bad for them. It's going to cost them long term. I don't think it's going to cost them in this game, though.
I'm inclined to take the Wildcats too. I trust the coaching staff and Jay Wright and the infrastructure there in a tight spot. I kind of like Nova too.
Yeah, no Gillespie. Hurt, still talented, but it's a very thin line for them. In these rankings, they actually rate out as 9th, where Winthrop is outside the top 55. So, yeah, give me Villanova. I'll just write down Nova. That makes it so much easier for me. Purdue and North Texas. I think we've taken a 13 seed upset in every region so far. Are we going with North Texas and another one, Ben?
No, I watched this team last night, and they had 7 points in the second half until right at the end, and they won the game in overtime. We all lost in that game in one way or another. I'm just going to take Purdue to get the job done here.
Boilermakers for me.
North Texas rates out 44th in this. In Conference USA, they were able to create shots without the help of good passing metrics. Then that's not going to work against high-level competition. I guess the question is Purdue high-level competition?
Well, I mean, I'm on Team Big Ten, and I think Ben is too. So,
yeah, I mean, Purdue's got absolute monsters on the inside. They've got several 7-foot. They always have like giant people. I don't know what they do in West Lafayette, but a lot of big people there. They're going to cause major problems.
They got to do it for Drew Brees too. So there you go. That narrative's on play. Apparently, a very tenacious team. Those always tend to do really well in the tournament. Just teams that try harder than the other teams. That's right.
Whoever tries hardest usually wins.
No, but I'm actually dead serious about that. Like the effort level for some of these, like maybe not in this round, but once you start getting up against like just very highly skilled teams versus the tenacious team in the tournament, because the talent level is only so good across any roster in college that's why Michigan State ends up just doing well every second year, just because they're going to press you and get on you, and they just force you to make mistakes. But are they the type of team that plays that sort of defense? Like, are they going to get every loose ball?
Yeah, they hustle. I mean, they're great. It's the Big Ten. I think that's a theme in that type of conference. And the problem is when you play teams like that, they just punish you inside. And these mid-majors, a lot of them can shoot, but they don't have the bigs. And I think that's what happens here.
Texas Tech is a 6 seed. Utah State is an 11 seed. How are we feeling about Texas Tech this time around? Because these rankings do not like Texas Tech whatsoever.
No, but I don't know if Utah State should even be in the tournament.
Well, they are. So we have a chance to.
Well, I know. Them. So that means I like the Red Raiders here. I'm going to go again. Big 12. Big 12 has had a good year. I'm taking the Red Raiders.
We've gone pretty chalk across this. If everyone's going to take this Winthrop upset, if that's the popular sleeper, maybe the pivot is to take Utah State over Texas Tech. Ben.
No, I think the pivot is Colgate when we get there.
Colgate.
So.
Strangely enough, rates out as 13th best in the rankings.
Exactly. They have an asterisk next to them.
So I played a handful
for an upset. So I don't want to take. I don't want to knock Texas Tech out here. I'd rather knock out Arkansas.
Do you think we can get it done with Utah State, Ben? Come on.
Yeah, Utah State's a really good defensive team. This game, I don't know if there's a lineup, and if there is, I'd love to know the total. I could see it being really ugly because both teams struggle at times. And I have a feeling that Utah State controls the game defensively. I don't know if they can score enough, but I think they'll be in it for sure.
131 is the total in this game at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Yeah, I think this is played in the 60s for sure.
Texas Tech's only a 5-point favorite here, and this is a pretty big gap between an 11 and a 6. I'll go with Utah State. Why not? Arkansas and Colgate. So it does sound like you mentioned, Tim, earlier that Winthrop's going to be a very popular upset. Won't this be a very popular 14-3 upset?
No, because people look at 3-14 and they go, oh, man, I already got a 5-12. I'm not taking a 14-2. I mean, I think a lot of people will look at it and that they'll bristle at taking a 14. I don't think it will be nearly as popular, but I think Colgate's a better team. And I'm going to buy. I don't respect Arkansas that much, and I don't respect the SEC outside of Alabama that much. So I'm on Colgate here.
So this seems to be a just reading the notes on both these teams, Ben. This seems to be a bad matchup for the type of team that Colgate wants to beat. Now they're the higher ranked in these proprietary rankings, with the knock on them being they have flaws, but they can score at a very high rate and in a right spot. They can be an absolute handful. But then you look at Arkansas, who's 23rd in the rankings, and their notes are just tempo. They want to get as many possessions as possible and try to score as much as possible. If you're like the lower seed team, the one thing you do is play a high tempo and score a bunch of points. You probably don't want to be playing a team that does the exact same thing on the other side.
So we just talked about 131 in that last game. This game, I bet the total's like, I don't know. It's probably like 160 plus. They want to play so fast, and Colgate will keep up, and that could be a problem. So
161 and a hook.
Yeah, that's a problem to me for a 14 seed, just because you don't want to extend the game, and that's how Colgate plays. They only have one loss. They looked great today, but Loyola Maryland is no good anyway. I think they're actually a really good team, but it's a bad matchup. That's my bigger concern, not how good Colgate is.
So yeah, let's go with Arkansas in this matchup, because I think that, Tim, you underrate people's willingness to go a 14 over a 3.
Maybe I do, but I think that's a line. That's the line where people don't want to cross. That they'll go 4 seed 13, but 3-14 is like, no, I'm not knocking a 3 seed out. That's my view. And for good reason. 3 seeds tend to win almost all the time. So,
but do we really put a lot of stock into what the seedings are, especially like this year in particular? Like we've seen it in all the other sports, these COVID affected years where just weird shit happens when you get down to it.
Sure, but we're taking tons of upsets here. So, like,
we could always take more. We could always take more upsets. Florida and Virginia Tech, a 7 versus a 10. I don't know anything about these teams.
I hate this game.
Why?
I hate both these teams. I hate both these teams. I hate this game. I whoever wins, I hope gets crushed in the next round.
Florida's a 1-point favorite, Ben.
I don't like this game either. My Hokies, I do kind of root for Virginia Tech. I don't know. Both these teams have serious faults, but I think that Florida has kind of more faults at this point. So
agreed.
I'll go with the Hokies.
Right.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
So V-Tech, moving on. That brings us to Ohio State and Oral Roberts. I'm just assuming we're going to write in Ohio State. So Ohio State and Virginia Tech. Is this a roll for Ohio State?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
Man, I will say that Oral Roberts, they're not going to win the game, but they do have the #1 scoring player in the country. And they will be shooting wildly all game. They take a lot of 3-pointers.
Alma mater of Ned Flanders. We learned when Homer stole his college degree and then scratched out Ned's name and put his own on it.
This is true. Arkansas as the 3 seed against Utah State. Do we want to keep the run going? Because let's be real, like, this is one of these situations where we're not going to have either team beating Ohio State, right? So why don't we just roll with Utah State? Moving on.
Well, let's pick for the better game and take Arkansas. I have both these teams losing the first round, so I don't care. I'll go Arkansas because I think they are significantly better. I think Utah State is trash.
Hold on 1 second. Have you seen a single second of Utah State play?
No, I haven't seen the Aggies play, but I respect the people whose opinions that I'm reading. That's all I can ever do. I mean, I'm no expert in this. I'm here to be picked against. So
Utah State it is. Moving on.
Yeah,
to
all
play.
right. Yeah, that's led me to the Aggies. This is a totally different styles make fights. Arkansas wants to play fast. Utah State does not, or not nearly as fast, I should say. Let's live a little. Utah State.
And then we'll just have Ohio State going on to the Elite Eight in this after beating Utah State.
Yeah, this is the problem with this region though, because I hate Baylor, but who the hell is going to beat them?
Ohio State.
Okay, yeah, but you have them coming all the way to the Elite Eight.
No,
By
I'm just saying,
default?
but like Baylor eventually will lose, even if they get that far. No, I have Baylor going out, not this round. Although I could be tempted to knock them out with the Badgers. I would knock them out in the round of 16.
But we're going Baylor over Wisconsin, Ben. That's something that we're doing at the top of this.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. So Nova versus Purdue.
I want Purdue because I know Purdue can knock Baylor out.
I can't pick Nova. Listen, I think they could beat Winthrop, but they lost the heart and soul of their team. And then their second best player has a severely sprained ankle, and he's apparently playing. But they ran out of guys. So Purdue.
All right. So Tim thinks that Purdue can beat Baylor. Ben, do you?
No, I really don't. Baylor, just the way they play with their zone is going to cause serious problems on the interior. They're an amazing shooting team. They have like 8 good guards. I respect everything except their coach. Baylor number 1 in the country in 3-point percentage, almost 42%. That's insane.
Well,
So,
hold on then. If that's going to be a thing where they shoot 42% from 3, like if that's what you're relying on, especially as a very top end seed, and that's the big thing that you do. I guess you say that their zone can cause problems for a lot of people, but what if they just start bricking threes? Like that can happen in any.
I was going to say
in any one game. Like that's it. Like you always go back to. I mean, the skill is eventually going to win out, but we see every single year one of these very top end teams that shoots with very high efficiency, they just go cold and they don't have like the big man they can go throw it into who's going to get like 20 points and 18 boards against like a lesser competition.
And I don't trust Drew to realize that his guys are cold from the outside the line and make any sort of adjustments. So you'll just stand there and just watch it fall apart. So yeah,
all
I like the
that's
Boilermakers.
true. No doubt. I'll just say this. Baylor's defense, fantastic. They force top 10 in turnovers per game. And it's not just one guy. They've got like 5 3-point shooters. So it's a lot harder for that to happen. But there's no doubt when you live by the 3, you certainly die by the 3. Everyone says that, and it is true.
Yeah, but the problem is Purdue the right type of team that can take them out?
No.
All right.
I don't think
Yeah,
so.
I mean, Purdue's a top tier quality Big Ten team who can go toe to toe with just about anybody, I think. And be not their equal, but close. And I mean, Purdue in Indianapolis, in Indiana, I like the spot.
I'm going to stick with Baylor. So we got Baylor versus Ohio State in the Elite 8 to see who goes to the Final Four. But it sounds like we all want. Do you think that Baylor is going to go, Ben? I guess is the question because Tim's definitely going to take Ohio State. I always enjoy a good upset.
I wish this wasn't an Ohio State because I'll be honest, maybe I'm just a hater because I'm not sold on them either. They did play very well. I was really impressed that they took Illinois to overtime today, and they've shown that all year. Tough game. I guess if you want to go, you got to knock Baylor out somewhere, and this is really, I think, the only team in the region that has a real shot to take them out.
Buckeyes.
All right,
It's up to you, Pat. You use the force. What does your rankings say?
Ohio State is 10th and Baylor is 8th.
So a coin flip.
Yeah, let's go Ohio State. Why not? Let's take the 2 seed. Moving on to the Midwest, the final portion of this bracket. My guys, the Drexel Dragons, the 16 seed. There they are. They're taking on Illinois, the number 1 seed. What's the note that I have here about Drexel? They actually rate out really well. Obviously not as good as Illinois, who's number 2 in the rankings. But where is Drexel? Arguably the worst defense in the field. 5 players who average over 10 points a game, though. But can they get consecutive stops against anyone is the question. That doesn't sound good.
I expect Illinois to score over 100 points in this game. I like the fight in the line I hear.
Yeah, I've seen Drexel play a handful of times, and in every one of those games I was betting against them. They did make it here, so it shows what I know, but I'm not a believer in Drexel.
Loyola Chicago was an 8 seed.
Worst seed in the whole bracket.
Disgraceful. Against Georgia Tech. What the hell was Loyola Chicago? Was that the team that had like the nun cheering for them a few years ago?
And got to the Final Four. And she is 101 and tends to go to Indianapolis for the tournament. Yes.
Get her that vaccine and sit her in the front row.
She's 101. I suspect she probably has been vaccinated at 101. Anyway, yeah, Loyola Chicago gets that respect because they went to the Final Four 2 tournaments ago.
So why is
and
this
I like them to go.
You like
I like
them
them to
to
go
win?
one round here.
Okay, so is this when you said this is an egregious seed, Ben? Is it because it's too low or too high?
No, it's too high. I think they're one of the better teams in the country. Like they are an experienced, good team. They're the best defense in the country. I can't believe that they're an 8. I think they should have been like a 5. So that's a big mistake and an awful draw for them. Georgia Tech is really good, and then they have to play Illinois if they get through here.
So looking at it right now, Loyola in the rankings of all teams in these power rankings is number 6.
That's what I'm saying.
Georgia Tech, number 11.
Awful matchup for just in general. Both those teams deserve better.
And for Illinois. For
Illinois, yeah.
So are we going with Loyola over Georgia Tech?
I like Loyola Chicago, yeah. I like the Ramblers.
Yeah, Ramblers. They still have some elements from that team.
Mm-hmm.
Do they have a chance?
Yeah, the upperclassmen would have been on that Final Four team, yeah.
Do they have a chance to beat Illinois?
Sure, they have a chance, but I think Illinois is, after Gonzaga, the best team in the country.
Illinois is serious business. AO, they got everything that you want, and they're, like I said, that's a sweet name, so can't overrate that.
Toughest strength of schedule of any team in the tournament, yet they still have top 10 in rebounding percentage and shot quality percentage, so that's good news for Illinois. Tennessee against Oregon State. Can we take an upset?
Beavers only got in because they won the Pac-12 tournament.
Well, good. They're coming in with momentum, Tim. That sounds great.
That was my argument for Georgetown, and you shot that down. So, I mean,
I got nothing on these teams.
I would take Tennessee.
Yeah,
I mean, yes.
I kind of like Oregon State, but that's just because I've been very impressed that they got through teams like Colorado. You got to correlate your bracket a little. You know, if Colorado is this good, then Oregon State might be pretty good because they just beat them. So I kind of like that.
All right, Oregon State it is. Oklahoma State against Liberté. Isn't Liberty the one? Isn't that the Jerry Falwell school?
Yes,
Yes.
in Virginia, yes.
Okay.
Good basketball team, a very good basketball team. Obviously, they're in the tournament for the second time in 3 years or something.
Yeah.
But
Well, I mean, as a 13 seed, couldn't they let one of the other teams take their place and they could get cucked?
Oh, my goodness.
Aren't these the jokes that we're making right now?
Oh, my goodness. I'm going to
That's
take
good stuff.
I'll take the Cowboys in this game.
Is Oklahoma State?
I'll take Oklahoma State.
Yeah, I got actually Liberty rates out 18th.
Yeah, I think they're actually not a bad basketball team, but I do think Oklahoma State.
They won a game. People forget they won a game 2 years ago. I think it was Virginia Tech, I want to say, but they're a good, experienced team. Oklahoma State has probably the number 1 pick in the draft, though, and that's a problem.
Especially against a school like Liberty, I would think. Like, isn't that usually
Liberty
when
plays
when the big, like if you have like the one superstar on your team, that's usually not good enough to beat a good team, but against a middling team, that's usually good enough?
Yeah, it's going to be. Liberty plays in tempo this year per KenPom. They're 348th in the country. That's insanely slow. I don't think that they're going to be able to handle Cunningham.
All right, Oklahoma State. OK State moving on. Cucking out old Liberty. San Diego State.
They'll get cucked.
Yeah, they'll get cucked. San Diego State, the 6th seed against Syracuse, the 11 seed. I bet you everyone in the world takes Syracuse here because most people are like Tim and I, don't know what's going on. Like, Syracuse? That sounds good.
We know the 2-3 zone, and we know Jim Boeheim, and that's what we know. It's like, oh, Syracuse is an 11. That's an easy upset. I got to get one in my bracket, which makes me think that we should probably take the Aztecs, but I don't know.
That would be my lean too, Ben.
I like them. Good 3-point shooting team, which is super important when you play Syracuse. They shoot 37.5%, top 25 in the country. I go with the Aztecs.
Yeah,
they're a good team.
The way to beat the zone is to shoot over top of it.
Yep.
SD State. No Marshall Falk on this team, I don't think, at least. 34th ranked in these power ranking. Syracuse, number 37. So they're going to be very close when it comes down. I wonder what the spread is in that game. San Diego State's a 2.5-point favorite. I bet you Syracuse ends up becoming the betting favorite just on the money, that they take on. Like, I'm trying to think about this as someone who, like I said, knows nothing but still wants to bet on this stuff. Just looking at it, be like, oh, Syracuse versus San Diego State. That would really jump out to me. Ben, are you in on my theory that every single college basketball team and every single college football team should have one alumni spot on their team? So like Tim Tebow couldn't go to the NFL. He couldn't make Major League Baseball, but he's just like all-time Florida quarterback if he wants to be. Wouldn't that be great?
And he can play?
Yeah. Like he's like, you have one guy that's allowed to play.
I would be definitely for that. That would be a game changer, and Kawhi Leonard hopefully
I was just about to say, yeah.
up. No, and that would really help them.
I think it has to be, they cannot be under professional contract in any sport on any other thing. Like they have to be.
So Aaron Kraft would play for Ohio State forever.
Yeah.
That's the guy who traveled every time he touched the ball.
Yeah,
and he had really red cheeks.
Yes, he did.
Didn't call it.
Yep.
That was the Greg. Was that the Greg Oden
Too much
year?
hustle to call it.
What?
No.
That wasn't the Oden year. It was Kraft the one who kept getting all those charge calls against him.
Yes,
because he was a hustler and a scrappy guy, and you'd work too darn hard to call a foul against him.
West Virginia against Morehead State. All right, Morehead State. They looking any good here? Let's see where they rate out.
They could have Kenneth Fareed. He could have been their guy. Now you got me thinking like this.
And they knocked out Louisville.
That's right. Yeah.
10 years ago, we were on our way to March Madness, and I saw that game in the Denver airport.
And I saw that exact game on Drexel's campus just to tie it all together. And I was eating a delicious cheesesteak.
So we went to the tournament, 2010 or 2011?
2011, yeah.
Yeah.
10 years ago.
The only thing that really stands out from that, just in like watching the games, was how good Isaiah Thomas was on Washington, and the other really small guard they had who wasn't Isaiah Thomas was also pretty good. And I think they won their first round game, or they lost to Duke in the first round.
No, they won their first game. That was when Kyrie came back for the tournament.
Yeah, and how good fucking Kyrie was.
Yeah, he was marvelous.
But it was his first game in like 2.5 months or something like that.
Correct.
Yeah, they won their first round game, then they lost to Duke in the second round, right?
That's right. Both games that we saw, North Carolina, Michigan, and Duke, Washington, came down to the wire.
And they gave us these programs for all the teams that were in our region in Charlotte. And you have like Duke, and they have this like super impressive like team photo with all like the managers. And then Belmont had their photo. It's like 9 guys in front of a brick wall outside of an elementary school. It was awesome. And they had a guy who shot rebounds like this. And he just tried to bank it off the backboard as hard as he could. He made like 1 of 12, I think, and it went like boom, 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 boom. It was shocking to see in person. I'd never seen anything like it. It was the last Bruce Pearl game that we saw too for Tennessee.
Yeah, when Michigan won the game without shooting a foul shot.
That's right. West Virginia over Morehead State then?
Yeah, I like the Mountaineers.
Yeah, Belmont would be here if it wasn't for Morehead State. That's the same conference.
Okay. Clemson against Rutgers. Oh, God. Rutgers can't, I mean, they're in the tournament, so they can't possibly be as bad at basketball as they are at football.
Yeah, Ray Rice would probably be. Now, every school, I'm just thinking of who would be their alumni guy. This is like Florida, Virginia Tech. I have no interest in either of these teams.
No, but I would take the Rutgers because I haven't seen them in a while, and it's Big Ten, so.
Sure. I really have no lean here. I've seen Clemson quite a bit, and I'm really not impressed.
All right, so we're gonna go with Rutgers.
Yep.
I wonder if you can bet.
That just seems wrong.
Yeah, I wonder if you can bet on this game.
It always seems wrong, but
if you're in, let's see, betting on New Jersey college teams is not permitted in New Jersey, so it will be available on DraftKings Sportsbook, just not in New Jersey. Is that how it works in the States, Ben?
Yeah, I mean, depending on where you're at, but generally with college teams, that is a thing. New York, if you drove to the physical place and they were playing in like MSG for college, you would be a no-go.
Interesting. Is that why I guess that's why you can never bet on UNLV in Vegas.
That's right.
For obvious reasons.
So is that college only? Like, can you bet on the Raiders in Vegas?
Yeah, I would assume so.
I would assume you could bet on the Jets and Giants if you live in New Jersey.
Yeah. You definitely can.
I bet you they take.
I would think.
I would think that DraftKings Sportsbook New Jersey location just gets all of the Jets and all of the Giants money, and then like they're horrendous, and then people lose all their money to the book. That would be my guess. I could probably get numbers on that to factor it out. So, Rutgers. Moving on, and then can Cleveland State give Houston any sort of a run?
I hear Houston is fantastic.
They are quite good.
But they were good a couple years ago when Michigan hit that miracle shot at the buzzer. When I had Houston going to like the Elite Eight or Final Four, I killed my brackets. So I'm kind of mad at Houston that happened, but it really was Michigan that did it to me.
That game, awful. That was one of my biggest bets ever, and it did not go
Oh, no.
well. Yeah, Houston. They had a guy named Gray. His last name was Gray, and he was like my favorite player. I wonder what that guy's doing, but Cleveland State's going to get rolled. Houston's really good.
So by these rankings that were given to me, Houston does not rate out well. They're 50th overall. Now that's still better than Cleveland State, mind you. Didn't Cleveland State like win 2 rounds in a tournament not too long ago?
No, I don't believe so.
Feel like
I have
did.
I'm not saying they didn't. I just don't remember if they did.
Cleveland State basketball. I feel like they were a 14 seed and somehow they ended up playing like a 13 seed in the second round, and then they advanced to the Sweet 16.
One of those.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe it never happened. No, but now I actually want to look this up. Can we take Rutgers over Houston?
Oh my God.
No, at this point, no. I would take the Cougars.
I don't think Houston's that good either in that sense, against the elite teams, but they're much better than this little pod.
All right, so here's the Rutgers note that I have. They can grind. I love a grinder. Grinder rests. That's where we're going. They can't shoot. That seems like it's going to be a problem. And be a bear to watch, but they are capable of making things as ugly as possible. I like the sounds of that. That's a team that I like to get behind.
That's basically what West Virginia has done for 15 years.
As Houston as well. Like Houston and West Virginia, they define playing ugly. You don't want to play that game around those type of teams.
All right, so we'll go with Houston over Little Rutger here. And then San Diego State against West Virginia. San Diego State have a shot?
I think so, but I West Virginia, I'm a big Bob Huggins guy. I'm going to go with the Mountaineers.
Yeah, I like the Mountaineers too.
So that gives us like a double muck-up game of West Virginia and Houston. We just roll with West Virginia?
I would.
Sure.
West Virginia, where do they? West Virginia ranks out even worse than Houston does somehow. Good God.
I'm not surprised because if you're factoring in like free throw things like that, they're just an ugly team, and they lost a key player in the year, and I don't know what they do good, but they do get it done more often than not. And of the 8 teams we just listed in this pod, like, I don't know. They're all pretty bad in one way or another.
You know what? I'm going to switch this up. I'm going to go with San Diego State over West Virginia, and then I'm going to take San Diego State over Houston.
Oh.
Fuck it. Let's go. Let's go, Aztecs. Figure it out.
That's fine. As long as we have Illinois and 1 seed getting out of this
And they've
into
got
the Final
Marshall
Four.
Falk, sure.
Doesn't really matter.
Yeah, Marshall Falk, he can be the queen on the chessboard, out on the basketball court. I mean, at what is he, like 50 now? He'll be fine. So yeah, we're going to take Illinois over Loyola, and then Oregon State versus Oklahoma State in the who will lose to Illinois side of the bracket. The one thing I will say, and Brad Evans is doing his entire package up on ftmbets.com right now. If you hit the description of this video, you can find the link to that. It's going to have everything broken down, him and the entire college basketball team over at FTN. It's well worth it, put it that way. It's like $8 if you want all the information you can get. But the fact that he loves Illinois and went to Illinois and always is big upping Illinois leads me to believe that they're going to like lose in the first round. Like, that's just a personal bias coming in. But Oregon State or Oklahoma State, who are we taking?
Oklahoma State.
Sure.
I would agree.
All right. So that leaves Illinois versus San Diego State. I guess we'll have Illinois going on to that. So it brings us time to the Final Four. We have Iowa against Colorado and Ohio State against Illinois. So once again, if you're watching out there right now, smash the like button to the video. In the comment section, please drop your finals plus a winner. So who are the teams that are going to appear in the finals, and who do you got winning? Hell, throw in a fucking final score while we're at it too. Don't be afraid to smash that like and subscribe to Mayo Media Network for ongoing betting and fantasy coverage of every single sport, like legit every single sport at this time, except for the NBA. That one's hard to figure out. And I started too late in the season to get it up and running. We'll probably end up doing that next year. Iowa versus Colorado. What are we doing here, Tim? Who do you like?
I would take the best player in this Final Four game, which means that we take Iowa.
Can you make the case for Colorado, Ben?
So I think the case for Colorado would be that I would rather have my best player be a guard, and McKinley Wright is certainly a guard, and Garza, he can handle the ball, but he's more dependent on other players. Iowa is more dependent on the 3 ball. We talked about Colorado's free throw shooting. I think Iowa would win this game. If it's not going to happen, but in theory, if it did.
Ben, this is what we said last time when we did the bracket. Oh, I mean, we all like Texas Tech, but Texas Tech can't go that deep, and boom, we won all the money.
Well, that's what we're going to try to do this time. I think I would have to go with Iowa. We got 3 Big Ten in the Final Four. That's a dangerous game, but you know what?
It is, but it happened in 1989 where 3 Big East teams made the Final Four. And if we believe that the Big Ten is the best conference, I think it is minus Gonzaga. Like, that's reasonable enough.
All right. Ohio State against Illinois. Where are we going with this?
Just saw this game an hour and a half ago. Great game. 2 great teams, but I like the fight in Illini. Again, like Ben said, they have no holes. I'd be very excited to see them win it.
What do you think, Ben? I mean, just because a game happened an hour and a half ago doesn't mean that same game is going to happen a month from now.
No doubt about it. It's just Illinois was a team early in the year. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with them. They lost some games that I really didn't think they should, and since then they've been absolutely rolling. They've won 7 straight. Ayo is one of, if not the best player in the country. He's phenomenal. They've got a guy named Cockburn. I don't know how you factor that in.
The Cock.
Pat, but yeah,
bad matchup for the Liberty Cucks. Maybe it's a perfect matchup. I don't know.
They could get there. Could be that could be a whole different metric, but this team just has everything that you want. Big men, guards, playing great. I think that if they get Ohio State again, they've seen them many times now, they would beat them again.
All right, so we'll go Iowa versus Illinois, which I assume is a game we've already seen this season a bunch of times too.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, these teams have all played, like, it feels like they've played like 50 times. It's just a rotation. What the hell did they do when they played?
Can Iowa give them a scare, I guess would be the question.
When you have the best player on your team, of course you can. But I like to go with the Illini here.
I would too. They beat them twice during the regular season. One was recent. The other game I honestly don't even remember. But yeah, this is a team that truly has the formula. They've got a great big man. They've got great guards. I like their coach. I like their draw. What's not to like?
All right. So our national champion is going to be Illinois after they beat Iowa in the national title game. Can we go 2 for 2 with this crew? I say yes.
What could go wrong?
As long as Abilene Christian makes it a game, I really don't care. That is where my attention will be focused.
Do they have outright bets on who is going? I can't find the futures on this. Did you see? Can anyone find the futures?
I haven't seen any yet.
I mean, there's been futures, but with the actual bracket, I don't know if they probably pulled them.
Team futures. Okay, I mean, I've got team futures.
Like to win?
Yeah, or to make the Final Four.
All right, where do you see those?
On DraftKings Sportsbook, it's next to you have game lines, Habs, game props, and team futures.
Oh, maybe that just updated because I have not refreshed my screen because there it is. It wasn't up on my page. It stopped at game props. All right, so let's check out team futures here. The future: Gonzaga, Baylor, Illinois plus 650. That's not horrible.
Well, they are a 1 seed after all.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought they would be shorter than that. So what's Abilene Christian to win it all?
5,000 to 1.
Iowa is 20 to 1. That's probably what I'd end up playing, like Illinois and Iowa. Just bet them both at plus 650.
Abilene Christian has the 3rd longest odds, tied for the worst odds with Eastern Washington and Grand Canyon.
Ben, if you were to make an outright bet, like I doubt betting, like Gonzaga's plus 215 right now, so they're the favorites.
Yeah, you can't bet them.
Baylor's plus 250. Those seemed like too short of odds in order to try to win. What is it? Win 6 games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 games. Like, I don't ever see myself betting, actually putting money down on anything like that, especially because they're going to have your hold for like over a month too. But is there any team that you think that can, like, because we did this with Texas Tech, that we bet them, I think they were like 80-1, but once they get into the Final Four, it does give you pretty decent hedge equity in order to try to like just get your money out of it. Like even though you're going to be betting these other teams as minus favorites, you still end up better than what you would have to bet these high end teams. Like if it ends up being, I don't know, what's Colorado? We all seem to like Colorado.
They're plus 900 to make the Final Four, and they're
60-1 to make to win it all, which is probably not quite as long as I would have wanted. But even in that circumstance, like even if the other team is like minus 300, that brings you down to what, 20-1, and then you get like a minus 200 that brings you down to 10-1. That's still better than outright betting like all of the top end teams. You just need Colorado to go to the Final Four. Maybe just bet
if you want.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Colorado. I think that again, you're talking about hitting lightning in a bottle. And I would rather go with an extremely explosive team, someone like BYU, who, when they get hot, they had Gonzaga down on the ropes in that finals, and then Gonzaga is just too good. But a team like that, they could easily go out in the first round, but you don't really care about that. You're just talking pure upside. I would probably look at some of those type of teams for serious runs.
The Bonnies are 100-1.
BYU is also 100-1.
Yeah, and they don't have to play Michigan on Saturday or Sunday or Monday, which is a huge advantage.
Loyola Chicago makes some sense too, because look,
if they would have to beat Illinois. If they beat Illinois, they have a path.
That's it. If you're the 8th seed and you knock the 1 out, then you actually have a really easy path to a championship. Your hard game came early in the draw, not late. So if you really believe in Loyola Chicago, if they were to upset Illinois, their odds would be significantly shorter. So I don't hate that pick either.
Well, that would be the same case for Colorado too. They would knock out Michigan, and then all of a sudden they would probably be the favorites in that.
So like take them both, and you have 2 wild card. And if they both blow up in round 1 on you or round 2, so be it. But you had fun.
Yeah, but even like we have Colorado versus BYU in the Elite 8. You might as well just bet those 2 teams. What are they to make the Final Four? 12-1 and 9-1. Just make those 2 bets. See if it works out. It's basically just you're shorting Michigan and hope they don't win the conference.
Yeah.
All right. That will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Any final thoughts? Like, how excited are you to have March Madness back this year, Ben?
Oh, it's great. College basketball and college football are my favorite sports by far. They're the sports I bet the most by far. It's my favorite thing. I know it's ridiculously fluky. It's a single elimination tournament, but it doesn't make it. It's so much fun.
Tim?
It's to me the first sign of the spring ramp to sports. The Masters, basketball and hockey playoffs, NFL draft. Like everything got totally dislodged last year, starting with March Madness, and it's great to have March Madness, which is like the cornerstone of that build up to the great run of spring sports. So I'm very excited.
Do you think that people are, Ben, I just jumped into the chat for the first time. I see that people are, and it's not the first time I've seen this all day, is that people are going to be picking Iona money line, I think.
Iona money line? Yeah, I don't.
Because of Rick Pitino?
Yeah, because of Rick Pitino.
And they had, of all the teams in the country, they had the longest COVID shutdown. So I give them credit for finding a way through that. But I don't think people understand that how physical Alabama is. Just a serious team. And although I don't really love them to go way out, I don't think I'm going to be betting Iona. I will say just a quick plug for me. I will have all my bets over at awesemo.com, my bracket, everything like that. So I don't think Iona is going to be in there, though. Spoiler alert.
They're not your winner?
I can't say that they are.
Is there a promo code people can use, or are those free bets?
Yeah, this will be me and Matt Kajeski. We'll have shows in front of the paywall, free bets. So you head on over. We will have a package with Alex's projections and everything. Going to be a great time. We've got everything covered. And the DFS side, I know people don't play a ton of college DFS, but if you're going to do it, this is the time to do it. And Matt Kajeski, best in the business.
Yeah, and you can find the FTN Bets March Madness Bracket Betting Guide. That is $8 up right now on ftnbets.com. But if you want the full package, which includes all of the in-depth betting, all of the bracket, all of the daily fantasy. Use code Mayo at checkout and go get that for yourself. All right, guys. Ben Rasa, you can follow him on Twitter at JazzRazDFS. You can follow me at the PME. If you hit the description, about 10 minutes after the live show ends, I will put in the link to the official Pat Mayo Experience bracket if you want to go look at it and have some lulls based on how many stupid upsets we have. And of course, on Twitter, you can always follow Tim Undercost.
It's not my name. At Tim Anderson 87. I bring them funny. At least I try.
I mean, you didn't bring the funny on this show. You just got horrified by my cuck jokes. You're a cuck. Tim Andercuck.
I didn't see them coming, put it that way. You know what? I don't know. Let's just stop it right there. That sets you up for another joke. So let's just wrap it up.
Zach Borman in the chat, Ben, says, next year is UMass's year. Trey Mitchell is too good.
He is quite good. He's an absolute problem on the inside, but they got
the Minutemen can't be stopped.
They got some issues. They're better in basketball. I told you this before, Pat. In football this year, UMass scored 12 points total. So more upside in the basketball streets than the football streets.
All right, everyone. Thank you all for tuning into the live show. If not, smash the like button if you haven't done that yet. If you're watching the show after the fact, as always, in the comments, please dump in your final and who you have winning the 2021 March Madness bracket. And as always, please subscribe to Mayo Media Network on YouTube, or for the audio versions of all the sports, all the shows, the Pat Mayo Experience, rate it 5 stars. All right? You rate it 4 stars, I'm going to come and find you. I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.